Hello and welcome back to Card Kingdom's Rags to Riches Pauper Tournament. I'm Josh Monks, joined in the booth by Rob Hunsaker. So this is the final round. This is the last round before we cut to top 8, which we will be bringing to you live here at twitch.tv/cardkingdom. So what we've tried to do is we wanted to find a match that is playing for contention rather than one that is not playing for contention. The people above them have drawn, and the people below them aren't actually playing for any top 8, so we figure we get this one on camera. However, it is someone we've had on camera a couple times. So,
yeah, the Esper Familiar deck again.
At least we have the Esper Familiar versus the High Tide deck. I kind of want to see these decks match up.
Yeah, it's the two, looks like premier combo decks of Pauper.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this Pauper format, going head to head. I think the High Tide deck is about a full turn faster.
Yeah, I think you're right. They both have the same disruption package, which is not a lot, but they do have Snap.
And yeah, they have very little disruption for each other. This High Tide list is actually quite a bit different than the other ones because it's playing Mnemonic Wall instead of Archaeomancer.
Okay,
so that actually slows it down a little bit.
Yeah, because that was kind of the price point, right?
Yeah.
Mnemonic Wall is more expensive, so that's why they don't play it.
Yeah. And, you know, I know that Mnemonic Wall is more resilient in the Esper deck, but I'm kind of surprised they don't play Archaeomancer too. I wonder if that would get tested out to be proven better.
Yeah. I don't really see a huge advantage of playing Mnemonic Wall over Archaeomancer.
No, because a lot of times you could play out the Archaeomancer and leave up Ghostly Flicker to counter a removal spell if you have like double familiar or something. I can imagine a lot of scenarios where Archaeomancer is more resilient.
Yeah, I can imagine where the mana cost is more resilient, but I can also see it dying to more spells potentially.
The thing
Disfigure
is, how many Lightning Bolts have we seen today?
Yeah, not a whole lot, but like Disfigure we've seen a lot of, Echoing Decay we've seen a lot of. These are all X2s, so.
It's true. The thing is, against the mono black deck, you have so few removal targets anyway that it's likely that that thing's going to eat like a victim of the night or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I think the die roll here is pretty critically important for Greg to win since his deck is slower.
Yeah, it's important to gain a lot of velocity early. Drawing those familiars early and then following up with some cheap spells is definitely the way to win this matchup. Also, the cantrips in both of these decks are pretty important, making sure that they can hit the right cards.
Yep.
And so Greg's on a mulligan. It looks like Joe's going to go ahead and keep.
Yeah, and unlike some of the other high-tech decks today, it looks like Joe has Giga Drowse in his sideboard.
Okay, rather than main deck.
And Giga Drowse is actually a really good card in this matchup.
Yes.
It's basically like a 3-mana Time Walk, or a 2-mana time.
Yes, depending on the land.
Time Walk. Because you can actually tap down their board on their turn, and just since they're using bounce lands, it's like way more effective than it is normally. It's a very good card in the matchup.
And so Greg has a hand. He's got a Terramorphic and a Dimir Aqueduct, 2 Dimir Aqueducts. Those can definitely get Giga Drowsed. You definitely keep this hand on this 6. It doesn't actually matter what the scry is, because I'm pretty sure you're cracking Terramorphic either way.
Yeah, oh definitely. But he is on the draw, so.
Oh, he is? I thought he was on the play. Well, I believe Joe, I don't think he has a cantrip in his hand, so I imagine he's just going to pass the turn on this island.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about this Esper deck is just the bounce lands are just so good. That's a good draw.
They undo a lot of mulligans for sure. But they do have the cost that if they get bounced, you just basically have to cry in a corner.
We haven't seen that happen too often.
So it looks like Joe's going to fire off a Brainstorm EOT. Interesting. I didn't notice he was playing.
I mean, he doesn't have a lot of shuffle effects, and he might be planning on Merchant Scrolling.
Okay.
So if he's planning on casting Merchant Scroll, right now is definitely the best time to cast
Brainstorm. Yeah.
And if he has Ponder too, without a lot of shuffle effects, you definitely play Brainstorm differently than you would in like a Legacy deck.
Yeah. You have to play it a lot more aggressively just to find a card rather than trying to set up to not get Brainstorm locked.
Yeah, I think you play it more like you play Brainstorm like in Storm, than you would in a Delver deck in Legacy or something.
Yeah. And also, a lot of decks tend to want to hold Brainstorm for as long as possible because you don't know exactly what you're going to need later. But this deck doesn't really care what it needs, it just needs cards.
Yeah, there's the Merchant Scroll. Probably grabbing High Tide?
I imagine so. That's usually what you get. Looks like that's what Joe's going to get here.
Grabbing High Tide.
And we got another fetch from Greg, significantly worse than Merchant Scroll, but it does give mana sources, so.
And Greg might be dead next turn, depending on Joe's hand.
I haven't really gotten a great look at it, so I'm not sure what's in there, but next time he fans it out, we'll definitely walk through that, see what he's got.
And I don't believe Greg has any disruption in his entire deck that's relevant that he could cast here. He does have Snap.
Yeah, Snap's pretty much
pretty bag. The thing is, it's basically just like, all right, you kill me next turn.
Yeah. All right, I'm not dead now.
Because you have to snap basically Archaeomancer, or I guess in Joe's case, he plays Mnemonic Ball. So you have to snap Mnemonic Ball, which is like the absolute worst thing ever.
I guess he's still gonna trigger.
Then he just takes High Tide.
Yeah. We got a Cloud of Fairies here. Untaps 2 lands.
He's playing pretty fast here. He must have... Either Joe is a master at playing this High Tide deck, or he has a very obvious kill, which...
I think he's got a very obvious kill. I mean, he just Ghostly Flickered a land and Cloud of Fairies,
so he has a bunch of mana.
Yeah, he's got 3 mana floating in addition to all these untapped lands. And what is that?
That is a 1 mana Mnemonic Ball.
Okay. Gonna get back High Tide, it looks like. Oh, gonna get back Ghostly Flicker. Okay, he's got infinite mana there. Mnemonic Ball's going to target Merchant Scroll this time now that he has Infinity Mana. And Merchant Scroll, I imagine, is going to get, what, Luna's Grace?
Should I go stop these players to ban High Tide?
Yeah.
Can I go stop them?
It's probably time.
Can we get High Tide out of this format? Turn 3 kills, like, on the play, sure. Greg's played 2 lands, and now he's dead.
He's played a bounce land, 1 permanent and played dead. Excellent.
Joe has infinite mana with... whatever the bounce spell is. Capsize.
Yeah, so you can capsize all one of Greg's permanents.
Yeah, it doesn't even bother capsizing Greg's permanent.
Yeah. But it does allow him also to capsize his Mnemonic Wall.
Yeah.
So he gets to gain a spell next time he searches for Una's Grace, and then he recurs Una's Grace and capsizes the Mnemonic Wall.
55 times, or 50 times.
Yep.
Yeah, that's about how I expect this matchup to go. The High Tide deck is just a lot faster. Hopefully, this match is going to go pretty fast, I think. Hopefully we can get a backup match. Maybe someone with an outside shot at top 8. But what can Greg do to stop this? He has 2 Dispels and a couple Duresses in his sideboard.
Dispel? No.
He has no Duress.
No Duress. He's got 1 Snap, 1 Capsize, and 2 Dispel, and I think those are the cards he's bringing in.
Yeah, cut some of the expensive card draw.
Yeah, that's definitely what you do. Cut maybe Foresee and Deep Analysis. There's your 3 cuts right there.
And it looks like... Oh, that's interesting. Joe has 3 days, 3 Giga Drows, 3 Fairy Macabre.
I love that card.
Ooh, 2 Gush, 4 Dispel. I could see an argument for bringing any of these cards. Man, yeah. Fairy Macabre seems really good.
Yeah, it actually does seem great. Exile 2 pieces of the combo from the graveyard in response to the buy it back trigger. It's also no spell, so you can't counter it.
Yeah, that seems really good.
It's definitely something that if you don't play around and they have it, you're going to lose.
How do you play around it?
Have another one in your hand.
Yeah, I think he'll bring that in. I wonder what he cuts here. All of his cards, I guess he cuts the Mold Drifters probably.
Yeah,
Joe
probably
has
Mold Drifter.
4 Mold Drifters.
I think you cut Mold Drifter, and can you cut Una's Grace? Can you win if you don't have... No, you can just beat down with random creatures that way. Not great.
Does he have a... Does Ideas Inbound target?
No, it's just you draw 3.
Okay. Then he has no way to win without it.
Okay,
Other than just like upheavaling him and beating with.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
I mean, it's something that could happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's a, 5-turn clock, 6-turn clock?
Yeah.
And it's not like Greg's going to be able to play anything because he'll just bounce his land every single turn.
No, I think you have to leave in Una's Grace in this matchup.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, looking at these decks, the High Tide deck just looks very, very favored. I think Greg's been pretty fortunate
and hasn't played
to dodge it all day because he's been near the top tables and just hasn't seen it. Looks like I know there's already 1 High Tide deck in the top 8. I think there's another one on the bubble. We could have 3 or 4 High Tide decks in the top 8 here. Definitely might be a fast top 8.
Yeah. There is a Soul Sisters deck running around that actually has a piece that beats both High Tide and Esper Familiars.
Yes.
Can you run me through it really quick?
So, it was in, what is it, from New Phyrexia?
I think so.
It's Suture Priest. It's the ultimate popper hate there, I guess you could say. It's a 2/2, and when you play a creature, you gain 1 life, and when your opponent has a creature enter the battlefield, they lose 1 life. So anytime you're trying to do any Ghostly Flicker type loop, it basically acts as the ultimate hate there, which is like, it's some good format symmetry that like Pauper has all these degenerate Ghostly Flicker decks, and there's actually a playable card in Suture Priest, which I'm not even certain the guy that registered that card was aware of.
It's possible not. I would not think that Soul Sisters could have a chance against a High Tide deck, but like that really changes it.
He has 4, right?
Yeah.
In his main deck.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just beautiful. I know he isn't playing. He's playing his Soul Sisters deck with like triplet spirits and stuff, and he opted not to play Battle Screech, I believe, because he didn't know it was legal.
And that's a card you probably got to know about. Like, I'm not sure what you search for to find Battle Screech.
Yeah, I mean, like if you just did a Gatherer search, like you wouldn't know. I mean, it's only very recently became legal in Pauper with
because it's on Vintage Masters,
and it's not actually a common. So I could see how he wouldn't know, but. Yeah, I think he drew in the top 8, so I definitely want to get that deck on camera in round 1 in the top 8.
Especially if he plays against High Tide, just smashes
I want him on. That guy has to be on camera once.
Yeah.
He's in the top 8. We got to feature.
Definitely doing it.
Sweet. I have a soft spot for Soul Sisters.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. I think
you and Simo played it a bunch, right?
Yeah. I've played. Well, we don't play this. We play Martyr of Sands. But,
oh yeah. Yeah, that's right. It's kind of like Soul Sisters. I'll count them the same. They're not. So I'll count them.
Yeah, it's. I'm really looking forward to seeing that, and I hope. Do you know if the Goblins guy got in the top 8?
I'm not sure. I think so.
I'd like to see that deck again too.
I wish I had done commentary on the Goblins matchup.
That's
it was really
awesome.
fun deck to talk about.
Yeah, it was. That deck's pretty sweet. Sparksmith is a really powerful card in this format.
Yeah, it definitely does work when you need it to. It cleans up all the Kumbaj witches you need.
Yep.
Well,
if you can protect it, play it first and have 3 creatures.
Yeah. Or if you have, what's the goblin that gives them all haste?
I don't remember.
Is there not one? Maybe you
There is one that has haste in his deck. Then there's Bushwhacker. Bushwhacker, is that what you're talking about?
You can either Bushwhack it, or there's the, can't even think of the name, the Sledder, the guy that pumps your other goblins. That keeps him safe.
Looks like Greg has a pretty great hand. I think he's got to keep this. And I think he's digging probably for Nightscape Familiar.
Yeah, if that Dimir Aqua deck.
So he'll play turn 1 Preordain, and then into a bounce land, hope to not get wrecked.
Yeah, that's the dream. Hope that he doesn't get killed on turn 3 again.
Yeah.
So he sees a snap and a Nightscape Familiar. Perfect.
I
mean, that's already with them?
Yeah.
Okay.
He already has 1 snap.
Okay.
So
You don't think he wants to?
I don't think he wants to in this matchup.
Okay.
I think he needs some more action.
And Joe has no cantrip on turn 1, so Craig has that advantage, but it's not a whole
Looks
lot.
like he still has Deep Analysis in his deck, which I'm a little surprised by.
Yeah, I probably would have avoided that out
Seems
as well.
pretty slow here.
I just think he's going to be dead before he can cast it.
Yeah, I think so too. Ooh.
So yeah, these are the one of 2 tables that are playing for top 8 contention. The other table did not want to be featured, so we didn't put him on camera. So we put this one on, even though we've had Greg on quite a bit.
Yeah, the other matchup was High Tide versus something. I don't know. High Tide versus Mono Black.
Yeah,
more High Tide.
Yeah, more High Tide. There's a lot of High Tide running around. So let's see what Joe decides on turn 2. He's going to cast an Ideas Unbound here. He's digging into his deck.
You know, that's a sign to me that his hand might not be very good. I haven't gotten a very good look at it, but...
Yeah, I think he's got a few too many lands is really what the problem is. And so he's looking to ditch some of these lands. A little bit less in the card advantage, more in the card quality. So he discards 2 lands. And what's that last card? Was that a Snap?
No idea.
His hand is pretty stacked now, though. He's got a lot less lands in his hand now. So we've got a Nightscape Familiar from Greg. So now his blue cells cost 1 less. And he has 1 mana, so he could potentially play a 2-mana spell here. Not really a good snap target.
I think he has anything other than snap.
Yeah.
But snap will prevent him from getting comboed out for 1 turn.
Yes.
But it doesn't look like he has really anything close to a kill going into next turn.
Let's see what he decides to do. He can cast a Muldrifter this turn, potentially. Wow, Joe did nothing on his turn 3. I was expecting Joe to try and win the game there. I really want to get a look at his hand. The way he holds his hand, I can imagine his face is just completely non-moving while he's sitting there like that, too. He's just completely stoned.
Yeah, you know, he might
he moved.
He might not have a High Tide.
His finger's twitching.
Yeah.
Greg's going to drop an island. Let's see what he decides to do with this 4 mana. He can fire off a Deep Analysis.
I really don't like casting Muldrifter here.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't think you want to tap out here.
You need cards. Alright, I like that better.
Yeah, Deep Analysis for 3 mana. Draw 2, only costs 3 mana because of the Familiar. This also lets him leave Snap mana up, which, I mean, it's a big deal to have that up because it does protect you for exactly 1 turn. So if you can set up a win and then stop your opponent from killing you and then kill the game after they try and commit.
Greg picks up a Dispel.
That's a big draw.
So that changes everything.
Yeah, and so High Tide is symmetrical, so if your opponent attempts to go off with High Tide in this situation, Greg would be able to play both Snap and Dispel, which can be a very big deal.
So if you're Greg here and Joe goes high tide, do you dispel it or do you let it resolve?
I let the first high tide resolve because then I unlock both high tide I unlock both dispel and snap.
Okay. What if he goes high tide, high tide?
I definitely dispel the second one.
You dispel the second high tide?
Yes, because you have enough mana for the snap and the dispel. You don't need any more mana. But if you dispel the first one, then snap.
But would you not rather get like a ghostly flicker or like once the first high tides?
Okay, yeah, I guess if one high tide resolves, you don't really need to attack.
Cat's kind of out of the bag.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. Maybe you do just dispel the first high tide then.
I don't know. I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know either. I can't say I'm.
I kind of like letting the first one resolve, and I kind of like letting the second one resolve if you let the first one resolve.
Makes sense.
So I think you save it for the flicker.
Okay, so you go after the first flicker.
Because if he flickers, then you can actually win that fight because you have like a double pseudo counter.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, I think what you do is you snap one of the guys that he targets, and then if he goes into...
he gets to untap his land, and you can still die.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So, I don't know.
Oh, another dispel is a draw. That's a big draw.
That's really good. I think Greg's probably going to win this game.
Yeah, I don't think he can lose from here. Maybe he attacks here.
He could definitely lose. Joe could go into turn Giga Drowse.
Oh, yeah.
And Greg's super dead.
Yeah, Greg can't beat that. How do you beat Giga Drowse? There's no stifle.
You just can't beat it.
Can you even stifle replicate?
I don't think so.
Oh, man. Yeah, I think you're right. It's just a special action you take to cast the spell.
Yeah.
You need Cluster Storm. That's what you need.
So he's going to flash back Deep Analysis when floating. Greg's hand is still not very good.
Yeah, he's got...
I have not gotten a good look at Joe's hand.
So let's see what Greg decides to do. He's got a black floating. He's looking to tap this island. Oh, looks like he's going to play a land for the turn. Now he's going to tap this island. A little out of control, but there it goes. It is now tapped. Looks like he's going to play another Nightscape Familiar. So that costs 2 mana, black, and then the one from the island. Yep. So no mana floating, 2 lands untapped. The spells are pretty cheap now.
He has played a land this turn?
Yeah, he just played an island.
Alright.
Honestly, I think he just passed the turn here. I don't really think you want to play anything else.
Yeah, he's got Joe on a 8-turn clock from here. Plus,
let's see what he decides to do. He can fire off a Compulsive Research for 1 mana here, but I think you just need to leave up Dispel for the rest of the game unless you're killing him.
I like firing off. How many cards does he have?
I think he's got 9, maybe 8. One of the two. He's got a lot. He's definitely going to discard.
Yeah, the question is whether you fire off this research or not.
I don't think you do. I think you want double Dispel up if you're not going to win the game.
The question is, what does Joe have? The problem is Greg does have to do something. So it looks like otherwise he will get Giga Drowsed.
It looks like Joe has triple Merchant Scroll in his hand.
Why is he not casting it?
I don't know. Here we see the first one. Let's see what he's going to get.
What was he waiting for?
I'm not sure. Maybe the third Merchant Scroll?
Is he playing? He might not know Greg's deck list. He could have been playing around counters. No, there was a couple turns Greg only had 1 mana.
Yeah, he might be playing around Dispel.
Spell Pierce? Well, Merchant Scroll's a sorcery, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Why? Yeah. Absolutely. Maybe he didn't want to reveal what he was cheering for. Man, Greg's hand is great. He's got Snap, Double Drifter, Double Dispel, a land, and Compulsive Research.
Yeah, unfortunately he's not really doing anything to get ahead.
Yeah. I mean, that Compulsive Research only costs 1 mana, and that's going to get you pretty far in the hand race, but I really like this format because it's a lot about hand quality, and the person who optimizes their draw spells tend to do the best.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, it's the High Tide versus any non-combo deck, or a combo deck, and the High Tide just beats you because they race.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this game could still go either way.
Man, Joe's really in the tank about this Merchant Scroll tutor. I feel like Merchant Scroll is a card that you want to know what you're getting before you play it. You don't want to figure it out when you're partway through.
Yeah, this is about the time where I'd be looking at a judge if I was Greg.
Alright, so we see a Giga Drowse.
Yeah, so Greg's got to do something in the near future.
He definitely needs to start comboing.
I think if Joe needed something other than, like if he needed another piece of his combo, he would have gotten that first.
Yeah.
Because now Greg knows that, I'm going to get Giga Drowsed at some point. I have to do something.
Yeah, if Joe just passes the turn here, I'm really confused as to what's going on. Unless he's setting up to win the game next turn.
Yeah, I wonder if he's just not afraid of Greg being able to kill him.
I don't know what you need to be, like, I don't know if you should be afraid of Esper Familiars killing you. I guess they probably can from this board state.
I mean, I would be, the fact that Greg isn't actually particularly close to a kill.
We're going to see a sorcery speed snap. That seems weird. Do you dispel this if you're Greg?
No, I don't think so.
I just kind of look at that and I'm like, yeah, I guess that's fine.
That does mostly tap him out, though. Greg doesn't have a Cloud of Fairies or a Mnemonic Wall, right?
Yeah, he does not have either.
I think you have to let this resolve. I mean, he's just not even close to winning the game.
Yeah. I don't really know what this accomplishes for
The
Greg.
problem is this. What it does is it makes it very unlikely that Greg can kill him next turn. If he goes, let's see if he upkeep Giga Rouses.
Oh, that's what we're gonna see. Okay. For 3. So bounce land, island,
and Greg actually has a natural swamp in hand, I think.
Yeah, I think what you want to do though is using one of the lands that's gonna get tapped, you dispel the Giga Drowse targeting.
I don't think so. Greg isn't even close to a kill here.
Okay.
I think what you do is.
Oh, he's going to have 2 target the Aqueduct.
Float your mana.
Uh-huh.
Well, he doesn't have a snap target, though. So he can float his mana, then let Giga Drowse resolve, and then cast Snap and untap them. Yeah. But then he'd have to bounce his own Familiar for that to work.
Makes sense. And also, actually, what he can do is he can play Snap and untap one of those bounce lands if he so chooses. He's going to play Cloud of Fairies, so it hit exactly what he needed. Yeah. Untap those 2 lands. I like that a lot.
And where does he go from here? He can snap Cloud of Fairies?
Yeah, I think so.
I think actually you just tap. I think you play the second Familiar now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely going for it here if I'm Greg.
Okay, yeah, I think this. Oh, okay. Well, I don't think it matters if
it doesn't matter on the
or,
first one.
Yeah, because Cloud of Fairies and Snap both only cost 1.
Yep.
So he's got a black floating right now off the Aqueduct.
Yep.
Tap that for 3, so he's going to use the blue and the blue, or he's going to use just the blue to play Cloud of Fairies. Cloud of Fairies is going to untap those 2 lands.
And then he used the 2 black to cast the Familiar. Mm-hmm. I really like the sequencing here by Greg.
Yeah, me too. I like the sequencing of the cards.
Because that black mana is basically useless.
Yeah.
And now he can start casting Compulsive Researches for 1 mana.
Yeah, so he's going to use that 1 mana to go ahead and cast Compulsive Research.
Man,
I like that.
This is really good sequencing here. And he has not played a land this turn, right?
No, he has not. He's digging, so I think if he finds a bounce land, he is like guaranteed to win the game, and I think he just hit 1. You don't discard the bounce land, right?
Does he have any other way to untap his land?
Oh, maybe he doesn't. I feel like it's pretty easy to find one of those effects, though.
Yeah, I think he should have probably discarded that. But the thing is, like, he has a lot of mana anyway.
Yeah. So he gets 2 Terramorphics and a Mnemonic Wall.
A Mnemonic Wall. But he still doesn't even have Ghostly, does he?
No, he does not. Which is definitely a problem. That's the card he's looking for at this point.
Yeah, and he's pretty choked. But he can evoke some Mold Drifters. He has a bunch of card draw.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of card draw, but he only has so many looks to find them. I think you evoke Mold Drifters here. I guess Seagate Oracle to start and then evoke Mold Drifters.
It's basically just worse to cast Seagate Oracle than evoke Mold Drifter. Because if he wants both of these cards, which he doesn't.
I don't think you usually do. Friends of Preordained.
I don't think casting Mold Drifter is relevant at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like he's going to evoke Mold Drifter, 1 blue floating,
one black floating.
So he's going to draw 2. It looks like he had another Familiar and another land.
Ugh, that doesn't do anything.
No, it does not. And Mold Drifter, of course, is going to get sacrificed to evoke.
Does he even have an island in hand?
No, he doesn't.
Man, that was some serious breaking. I don't think he can afford to tap this island.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he just loses the game if he does.
I think so too.
And if he had the bounce land in his hand this turn, he could just play the bounce land, bouncing one of the tapped islands if he wanted to.
Yep.
I imagine he's just going to swing and pass the turn, right?
Yep.
Here it comes. 1 whole damage. We did it. And I believe he's got 8 in hand, so he's going to have to pitch another land. Yep, there's 7. Alright, and back to Joe.
Yep. Yeah, I like stopping there, but...
Joe draws a High Tide there. So it looks like he's got 2 High Tides and a Merchant Scroll in his hand, and then 2 lands. Maybe it's a High Tide and 2 Merchant Scrolls. One of the two. I can't tell. I think it's 2 High Tides.
Yeah, Greg bricked pretty hard there on that. There was a lot of cards he could have drawn, I think, that would have allowed him to kill his opponent.
Absolutely.
But the double dispel should prevent him from dying this turn.
You can only cast one of them as a problem.
Well, you let High Tide resolve. Ooh. You let the first High Tide resolve.
But you counter the rest
doubles.
of them?
I think you counter Ghostly Flicker.
Okay. You still go after Ghostly Flicker?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what you want to go after. It depends how Joe sequences.
Yeah.
But I think you almost certainly want to go after. The thing is, he's going to probably, if he goes for it here, since he has the Merchant Scrolls, he'll cast High Tide and then probably Merchant Scroll for High Tide.
Okay.
But I'm not sure that Joe has Cloud of Fairies.
It looks like he's going to Merchant Scroll now.
Is he going to get another Giga Drowse?
Possibly.
It's not even very good here.
No, it's not. Neither's Brainstorm.
Let's see what he gets.
Yeah, he's really.
I don't think Giga Drowse really does anything here.
I don't think it's too great.
If Greg can find a Cloud of Fairies or a Snap, because he will get to preordain.
Yeah, I feel like Greg's very likely to win next turn.
Sort of.
He's still got quite a few looks.
I think Joe's hand is just not very good.
Yeah. I think he's getting a Brainstorm and has no way to shuffle.
I think he doesn't have our. Well, he has another Merchant Scroll.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he's gonna have to tap out to do that.
Yeah. A little scary.
He doesn't know Greg has double dispel, so.
I mean, if you're Greg, do you dispel this Brainstorm that he just tutored for?
I'm really glad we put this match on camera, by the way. This game's been definitely one of the best High Tide games we've seen.
Yeah, it's really interesting looking at this deck, trying to find the pieces to win.
I'm kind of exhausted just watching this match. This has been definitely a lot of decisions on both sides. I feel like it's been pretty well played.
This looks like one of the more thoughtful matches with High Tide, certainly. He's going to draw 3. Man, he's really good at angling with cards, so we can't see them.
Yeah. He's a master.
It's an art.
I have no idea what any of his cards are. So.
Yeah. I believe he's got another Merchant Scroll. That's pretty much all I know for sure.
I don't think he's going to be able to kill Greg this turn through double dispel unless Greg messes something up. Mm-hmm. Greg's just going to chill out. And if I were Greg, I'd be asking for a judge about slow play here.
Yeah, I'm certainly getting worried about it. There's also only 20 minutes left in the round.
I can tell you, if this game were played on Magic Online,
yeah,
Joe is certainly timing out while trying to combo Greg because a lot of the clock's been on his side.
Yeah.
And actually, if I'm Greg, I'm not calling a judge for slow play. You know why?
What?
A tie puts Greg in top 8 and not Joe.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think Joe already has a draw. Okay. Unsurprisingly from watching him play, and Greg got paired down. Yeah.
Okay.
He already has a draw, so it's a 15-pointer against a. He has 2 draws.
Oh man, I certainly can see why.
Right?
Okay.
14 points.
Yeah, I think that's 2.
Yeah, so he has 3 wins and 2 draws.
Yeah. And so Joe just fired off a High Tide that got dispelled, and now Joe has 1 land untapped, so he can't really cast High Tide and try and win.
Yeah.
So he's going to pass the turn back to Greg, and I imagine Greg's just going to win here.
His hand is still not that good, but let's see. He should evoke this Mold Drifter and see what happens.
Looks like he's going to start off with Preordain.
It's basically the same thing. Yeah. It's 2 cards.
Compulsive Research and Cloud of Fairies.
Yeah, top.
Top. I'm not coming back to So he's going to cast another Compulsive Research here. Draw 3. Hits a land, another Snap. So he's got a million mana.
A ton of mana. I think Greg should be able to win from this point. He'd have to brick pretty hard. He's basically just looking for...
He just needs to find Ghostly Flicker. That's the last piece?
He has 3 copies of it. He should be able to find it.
He's got like 6 or 7 looks
basically also. Infinite mana at this point. Alright, so he has 1 black floating. And what does he have? He can evoke a Mold Drifter. I like just evoking Mold Drifter instead of casting it. I don't think casting it does anything relevant whatsoever.
Yeah, once you win the game, you're gonna be able to win it with Seagate or Oracle or Mold Drifter, so it doesn't really matter at that point.
And he can cast Mnemonic Wall to get back Compulsive Research.
Yeah. He's just got so many looks to find it. So he's gonna use the black mana currently floating and the plains to play that Sunscape Familiar.
Which basically costs 1 mana because he's going to be casting this mono at some point. Not sure it was worth the 1 mana.
It was a white mana, and it was using a black mana floating earlier, so it's not too much of a cost. The blue mana is really where the constraint is, because most of the spells cost blue mana.
So he did evoke it, I think.
Well, he's tapping 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. He just tapped the bounce land, right?
Yeah.
And he signified one for it. Well, there's another Mold Drifter. So he's going to get more looks.
Oh, you know what I think he's going to do? Evoke trigger on the stack. Snap it.
Oh.
I like that.
I'm not sure that's necessary here. Since he drew the second Mold Drifter.
You could definitely do it on the second one instead of the first one.
Well, I kind of like bouncing, because his constraint might be mana here.
Okay.
Because he has a ton of card draw, because he needs to get that mnemonic wall in play at some point. And he has compulsive research in the graveyard.
It's another snap.
Alright, well that's good. Don't do it. I think he really, his constraint is mana here.
Yeah. I think it's blue mana. Because the snap is still generating mana, right?
Yeah, but
it's creating a blue and a black each time he's doing this.
And there's the
Seagate Oracle. That's still not
Ghostly Flicker.
Still not Ghostly Flicker. I think you could play Mnemonic Wall here potentially. Looks like he's gonna fire off Seagate Oracle.
He is bricking pretty hard.
Yeah. He's pretty out of control.
He should have cast the Mnemonic Wall at some point to get back Compulsive Research, because it digs a card deeper than any of the stuff he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he played a land this turn, correct?
Yeah, he played the Plains. I'm really curious as to what he decides to do here.
I think he should maybe pass.
I'm thinking you might be right. He probably should have snapped the Cloud of Fairies.
Yeah, his constraint was mana, not cards. Like, look how many cards he has in hand.
Yeah, he's got like a trillion.
It was completely unnecessary. So if he casts this Mold Drifter, then he's basically on finding another Cloud of Fairies or snap. Otherwise, he's passing the turn.
Yeah. Cloud of Fairies. Did it.
Did it. Alright. Well, he can keep going for a little while longer. And let's see. Did he find Ghostly Flicker too?
No, I think it was a preordain.
Jeez. He's drawn a lot of cards here to not find this Ghostly Flicker.
Yeah, I mean, his deck's got to have, what, 30 cards left? 25 cards?
Oh, I think he's under 30.
Yeah, I think he's just under 30.
Yeah. He should really cast this Mnemonic Wall.
Mnemonic Wall for
free at this
Compulsive
point.
Research, yeah. So he hits a snap and a Compulsive Research, and he's taking the snap.
Yeah,
so let's see
right.
if he decides this time to snap a Cloud of Fairies.
Yeah,
I hope he does.
He will.
I think he knows now. Now that he's been constrained, I think he knows.
Yeah.
Yep, there he goes. Man, Snap is just so good. It's just a card you always want.
There's nothing this guy can do because... There's nothing Joe can do because Greg has all this mana floating, so like Daze is completely off right now.
He's got 4 black floating. Untap these 2 lands.
And a blue, I believe, right?
No, he gets to untap 2 lands, though. He just chose to untap lands. He could have, potentially.
So... It's time to get this Mnemonic Wall in play, I think.
I hope so.
And getting back Research?
Yeah, I mean, you get back Research, I'm sure.
But
I guess you fire off Preordain? Interesting.
I mean, Research gets you another card deeper.
There's another Mnemonic Wall. And a Seagate Oracle.
I wonder if Greg boarded out any number of Ghostly Flickers, or if he's just getting very unlucky. Does he just put...
Yeah, just put him on the bottom. There's so few cards left in his deck.
Puts them both on the bottom, and then...
Draws into a Cloud of Fairies. Interesting. He's not untapping the
doesn't even
Aquanet.
care about Black Mana. It's probably correct.
He's like, I don't want to keep track of this number anymore.
The thing is, from this point, it's actually impossible for him... He can't cast the Mnemonic Wall anymore.
Yeah.
Because he would have to... He needs to draw into Ghostly Flicker to untap 2 Cloud of Fairies.
Yeah.
But like, this doesn't do it. This doesn't do anything. Doesn't he have more card draw in hand?
I don't
He should get back
so.
to Spell.
Oh yeah, I like getting back to Spell, actually. He's got a Dispel, but interesting. Joe has a response.
Does he have Fairy Macabre in hand?
Oh, spicy. I like it. If Greg targets Dispel, I think you Fairy Macabre for sure. But Greg would get to blow him out with the second Dispel in his hand.
Yeah, I think getting 2 Dispels is probably... I mean, he's very much due to draw. Greg might just win this game by damage. There's a lot of creatures in play right now.
He's got a lot of damage coming next turn.
We get to snap.
Oh, yeah. So makes sense. No. Snap a Cloud of Fairies.
Is he out of card draw?
I think he might be. I think he's very close, at least.
Seagate? Okay.
Oh,
there it is.
All right, we did it. We finally found a kill. All right.
And if I were Joe, I'd aggressively be conceding here.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have conceded a while ago, actually.
Because there's 13 minutes left in the round, and Joe's dead if they draw. Yeah. And Greg's in if they draw. So, like, Greg says, all right, Joe, take your sweet-ass time. Make me combo you out.
I'll do it by hand.
Yeah. You want me to do it one at a time?
What? Joe, what are you doing?
Does Greg have Fairy Macabre? No, he doesn't. He has no response. He's just going to make Greg do it.
All right. That's what I like to see. That's how you get draws.
I think Greg's fine with that. This is why Joe has 2 draws. I don't know. If I'm Greg, I'm not even going to shortcut it. I'm going to go 1 by 1 until Joe tells me to stop. Yep. Because Greg is fine. A draw is a win for Greg. And if Joe's going to let him do it, no, I'm not even shortcutting it. I'm doing 1 at a time until Joe scoops.
I like it. Yep.
Sure.
Shoot him 1 at a time.
All right.
Oh, capsize. There's a capsize. And a ghostly flicker, but
I'd probably keep going.
Yeah, I'd get another ghostly flicker.
Sure. If he wants to keep playing.
Why not? He's going to capsize all his lands. He should just go through his entire deck a bunch of times. Can capsize all his lands 1 at a time.
What the heck is going on here?
I don't know. They're having a discussion about how the deck works, I think. And Joe says, show me a kill.
He's playing High Tide. I'm not going to show you kill. I would say, I'm going to beat you death for these 1/1s. What are you going to do about it?
I'm going to capsize all your lands. Is that okay? Photo mana? Sure. Capsize still in your hand. Yeah, Joe's letting him shortcut what he's already, like, shown.
What's he explaining to him?
I don't know, but Joe accepts it as a loss.
He's finally decided to scoop.
Yeah, so there's 11 and a half minutes left in this round and a whole game to play through.
Yeah, I think Joe wasted a lot of needless time there, not conceding. The thing is, he's playing the same type of kill condition, right? Yeah. Like, he knows once you have capsized, like,
you just bounce all their permanents.
You can't possibly lose because you can draw your deck. You must have some way to win in your deck.
Yeah, once you have infinite mana, capsize is insane because it buys itself back and also blinks something effectively.
Well, and Joe'd actually already seen a win condition, compulsive research.
Yeah.
If you have compulsive research in your graveyard and capsize with infinite mana, you can make Joe draw his entire deck.
Yeah. You just buy back capsize on the mnemonic wall and have mnemonic wall get back the card
over and over again once you have infinite mana. So shuffling up for game 3 here. I still think Joe's pretty favored on the play. I mean, Greg only has 2 Dispels in his deck. He happened to draw them both.
Yeah.
I still think the same issues. Greg's draw was far below average that game, so was Joe's.
Yeah. What is kind of interesting to think about, though, is the fact that Joe might not be worried about time, because as long as they start this game, he's pretty likely to go off in the first 5 minutes. So.
The man has 2 draws already.
Yes.
Playing a turn 3 combo deck.
Yep. Ambitious.
So, yeah. Like I said, if this was Magic Online, Greg's picking up a W here, I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
Although he did spend a lot of time on that last turn. But he was definitely making game actions and advancing. Like, he was doing things.
He wasn't doing it slowly either. He wasn't, like, taking between each one. He was very determined on what he was doing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was criticizing Greg for not snapping the Cloud of Fairies to make mana, but he actually did run out of card draw, I think. So it was kind of interesting. He hit Familiar on the exact last turn, I think, that he had.
The last time he had blue mana up to go off. He was playing into a Dispel potentially. That'd have been a huge blowout, actually.
Yeah, I'm not sure Joe had a very good opportunity before that to cast a Dispel. Yeah. And he has 4, right? I have his deck list. Yeah, he has 4 Dispel.
Yeah.
So I think after that game, I would definitely say that Daze is not good in this matchup.
Yeah.
For Joe, I think he should definitely not have that. Daze is a really awkward card as a protection spell.
Yeah.
When you're playing High Tide.
Yeah, Snap is really awkward if you're bouncing lands back to your hand. And when each land you have is essentially double, you're in a pretty good place if you can not bounce lands. So Greg's going to go ahead and fetch up Plains.
What a gentleman, doing some shortcutting.
So like, see, now that we're in a time constraint.
Oh, I would not be.
Draw out some Mnemonic Wall. Greg's just going to play a Familiar and pass.
I don't think he has another land, but he does have Familiar and I think some Compulsive Research.
He's got another white Familiar, he's got the black Familiar, he's got Compulsive Research, Cloud of Fairies, Seagate Oracle, and what's the last card in his hand? Is that a Mnemonic Wall?
I think so. Oh, wow. Joe discards to hand size.
Oh, he kept a 1-lander without a cantrip.
All right.
Ambitious, you're not going to lie. Greg, however, only has 2 lands. Okay, so he's going to play Cloud of Fairies, trigger on stack, he's going to tap his Plains.
Okay.
This allows him to use white mana for both
part
of the Familiar.
I like it. And then he can
play Seagate Oracle.
Oh, he can Seagate Oracle for 1 mana. He does not have another land here, so I actually think I like Seagate Oracle. Ideally, you're digging no land.
It's Ghostly Flicker and Compulsive Research. He's going to take that Flicker.
Yep. The Flicker is pretty good here.
He's actually almost got combo, right? Because you can Ghostly Flicker the...
He needs another land. He can Ghostly Flicker... If he draws a bounce land, I believe he has it.
Okay.
I would have to do some math though. I think Greg will probably spend some time with it. It would be a very marginal kill if he untaps. Mm-hmm. He wanted to hit a land there, but Ghostly Vigor is obviously a good draw.
Yeah.
Who knows? Joe might have a kill here. I mean, he has 7 cards in hand.
Yeah,
he must have kept that hand for some reason.
Yeah. So I think he's got...
If he goes High Tide and Cloud of Fairies, I think this is going to be a wrap.
You can certainly do that and then untap with a High Tide active, which is a big deal. 2 mana. Oh, he's going to Merchant Scroll. It's not really what he's looking for right now.
No. Is he going to grab Giga Drowse again or High Tide?
Snap.
Interesting.
So this tells me he's got High Tide, and Cloud of Fairies.
Do you think he grabbed that Snap defensively or offensively?
I think you always get it aggressively with the knowledge that it might come up on defense.
Does Joe have 3 Nightscape Familiars in hand?
I think so.
Getting in damage. It's a good play.
The race is on. 6 minutes. You can kill him in 6 minutes with damage.
He's going to cast Ghostly Flicker, which is going to be +2 mana, actually.
So he's going to untap these 2.
And with triggers, stack.
Go ahead and float a white. No, he's going to resolve the Familiar first. He's going to get the
Definitely
land.
Wants the land.
So now he's going to tap that land for mana, float a white, resolve the trigger from Cloud of Fairies on tap 2. And I think now that he hit a land, he's off to the races.
Yeah, he has... So he can cast Mnemonic Wall for 3 mana with 1 blue up and get back closer to Flicker. So he should have a kill here. Mm-hmm. So Mnemonic Wall is 3 mana, and he has 1 floating, so he can use the 3 mana that he has right now.
Yeah.
Play the island, get Ghostly Flicker back, and then make infinite mana.
Yeah. Ghostly Flicker, the Cloud of Fairies, and the Mnemonic Wall.
And the Mnemonic Wall.
That's infinite mana right there.
Yep.
He sees it. That's what I like to see. So, wow, yeah, Greg is really coming through here.
This line does get blown out by Daze.
Oh, wow, yeah, you're right.
But I don't think Joe has Daze in his deck.
Yeah, me either. Alright, here's infinite mana.
He's infinite mana.
I like how Joe's like,
he has infinite card draw, too. Because he has Seagate Oracle in play. Mm-hmm. I don't like making him draw his deck here. I would be careful here playing for top 8. I would look for the Denizen.
Yeah.
Because he could Compulsive Research him out. I mean, I'm not sure what Joe could draw. He could draw Fairy Macabre.
Oh, yeah.
Which isn't something I would have thought of before looking at deck list, but that would actually break it up and blow him out. If he like just goes into, alright, draw your deck with Compulsive Research. Oh, he has Dispel now, too.
Yeah, so he just hit a Muldrifter also. So now he's going to be able to draw 2 cards rather than scry 2, or sleight of hand every turn, or off of every rotation.
Yeah, I like that Greg's just going for this kill here. He's doing it again, he's doing it again, doing it again. And he's just looking for the denizen.
Yeah.
Or capsize, I think.
Oh yeah, I like capsize too, actually. I guess it doesn't really matter, Joe only has 2 lands, but eventually it's a denizen. That's how this deck works. It's gonna stay in his hand, right? Oh, what? I'm not sure what just happened. He's gonna count his deck, be like, it's gotta be in here somewhere. Yeah, once he hits the denizen, he wins.
Speaking of Magic Online, the traditional place Pauper is played, this would be taking Greg a very long time. He's doing this on Magic Online.
A couple minutes.
This is 3 or 4 clicks to even get to this point.
Yeah. 3 or 4 clicks
you
just to
cannot
get
find
this
that
rotation
there's
going.
capsize.
Yeah, so maybe just capsizes the lands, may as well.
And I still don't think it's entirely safe to... compulsive research him.
Yep. It's very macabre there, definitely. I mean, he has multiple ghostly flickers now.
Oh, yeah, he does. It doesn't actually.
But even still, if you have 4 fairy macabres, you get 4 ghostly flickers.
How many fairy macabres does he have? He has 3.
3. Not enough.
Do you think he brought them all in?
I don't think so.
Well, no, Greg only plays 3 ghostly flickers, right?
Yeah. Yep, only 3.
And Joe scoops.
Alright, Joe's gonna pick it up now.
He tapped out and he had doubled the spell in hand. So that was an interesting match. Looks like we're gonna have Esper Familiars in the top 8.
Yeah, so we're gonna figure out the top 8 here now that time in the final round has been called. So when we do that, we will announce it to you guys. Until then, stay tuned, guys, because we'll be back with the top 8 here very soon. Here at twitch.tv/cardkingdom at Card Kingdom's Pauper Rags to Riches tournament. We'll be right back, guys. Stay tuned.